Welcome to Knitting Needles and Stems. I'm Carrie, I'm the host, and today we're going to talk about works in progress, finished objects, knit-alongs, more out than in, my patterns, and gardening. I'd like to let you know that I do have a group on Ravelry called Knitting Needles and Stems. You can hop on over there. I post all the show notes for each episode in a new episode thread, and we have a nice chat room where we can all come and chat. I'd like to see what you're working on, what you're growing, and all of the fun stuff that you've been doing. I also have a Patreon called Knitting Needles and Stems, and that's a great way to support the show monetarily, but the best way to support the show is to tell your friends and to share the videos. And I also have a Facebook page where you can come over and show me what you're working on, and we can chat about that as well. So what's new? Not a lot's been going on. I kind of have a cold today, so if I sound a little gravelly or sniffly, then that's why. I'll do my best to make it through with little interruption. My youngest daughter is in high school now, and she went to her first high school dance, which was really fun. That was actually just last night. And she also helped at the spaghetti dinner that the music boosters put on every year, because she is in choir, and we served drinks for an hour and a half for the spaghetti dinner, and she had a lot of fun doing that. So let's jump right on to works in progress. The first thing I want to talk about is my Frigo by Christian Burkhardt. For this one, I'm using T&H Fiberwork Glitz, Sock BFL Silk Blend, and Eowyn, and Let Me Spin You a Yarn Silk Mohair and Ballerina Pink. I have one mitt done, and the other one I'm all the way up to where I'm going to start the ribbing on the second mitt. These yarns look so good together. I mean, I really like how the mohair is softening up these colors, the purples and the pinks in the T&H Fiberworks Glitz sock. These are for my youngest, and she will wear them to wait for the bus. And I made the hands, the ribbing, a little bit longer than the pattern called for, just so that when it's really cold outside, she can close her fist and put her fingers inside to help keep them warm while she's waiting on the bus. Again, that's Frigo by Christian Burkhardt, using T&H Fiberworks Glitz Sock BFL Silk Blend, and Eowyn, and Let Me Spin You a Yarn Silk Mohair and Ballerina Pink. The next thing that I've been working on is my Sea of Flames poncho by Nancy McElmurray. For this one, I'm using 100 Ravens, Yaksha, and Starry Night and Apollo. Starry Night is my gradient here, and it looks like the painting by Monet, Starry Night. And then the Apollo is the yellowish gold color that's in the center there. I'm still working on the first chart of my poncho, and I have it on really short needles. I'm going to have to switch needles soon because it's getting really full. I'm almost done. Well, I'm not almost done. I'm almost to the beads on the first chart, and you can see the lace pattern starting to establish there. This is really fun to work on. It's been a while since I've worked on an all lace project. And I really seem to like to wear ponchos a lot. I like to make shawls, but I like to wear ponchos more. So maybe I'll start making more ponchos and less shawls. Again, that's the Sea of Flames poncho by Nancy McElmurray, using 100 Ravens, Yaksha, and Starry Night, and Apollo. Then I'm still working on my secret project. I can't tell you anything about it except that I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's my more, I don't have to think about what I'm doing project, because it's a simpler pattern, it's in garter stitch, it's really soft and squishy, and it's amazing. So stay tuned, and that secret project will be revealed in a couple of months. I started a pair of socks. This is actually for an art trade that I'm doing. My oldest has a friend who does pottery and was showing me some of the amazing cups and characters that they make. So I decided that I wanted to buy a cup, and then I'd mentioned or mug, and I mentioned the prospect of doing a trade, and they were all for that. So I found this amazing yarn. It's Bumblebee Acres Farm squishy sock. Yep, squishy sock. In the colorway is the Shifter Lysandra, and that is from Throne of Glass. Now that's a TV show, I guess, that I don't watch, so I don't really know. But Bumblebee Acres Farm. This is the colors. It's the browns and the seafoam green and the white, and the pattern that I'm using is called Trillusions by Adrienne Fong. I've only done the cuff on the first sock. I work my socks in tandem, so I will do the cuff on the second sock before I start on the actual pattern. One thing I am going to alter in this pattern is I'm going to use the chart from this pattern, but the Fish Lips Kiss heel, because that's my favorite heel to use. And it seems to fit a variety of feet sizes. And since I don't actually know this person and don't have the actual measurements of their feet, I'm using my sock ruler. This is from Southern Skeins. It's a sock ruler, and it tells you, since I'm doing cuff down, I will, once I turn the heel, you stick it in, and when you get to the size that you're looking for, which the one I'm looking for is size 9.5, so it'd be in between the 9 and the 10 here, in women's, then I would start my toe. So it's a handy little tool. It rolls up like those old slap bracelets that we used to use back in the 90s that we used to play with, and some kids actually play with them now too. So you could wear it on your wrist like a slap bracelet. I carry mine in my knitting bag. So again, that's Trillusions by Adrienne Fong, using Bumblebee Acres Farm Squishy Sock in the Shifter Lysandra colorway. The next thing that I'm working on is a mystery gnome. It's Numpkin and Nettle by Sarah Shira. If you are working on this gnome, you can skip past this part of the video. I'll put a little note right here to the time mark that you should skip to, and you can save the mystery if you're not this far along in the mystery knit along. So for this one, I'm using Knit Picks palette in the Clover colorway, and Leading Men Fiber Arts in Darkest Hour, and some sparkly orange that I have that I don't know what it is or where it came from, but I figure it's perfect for a pumpkin or a witch gnome. Excuse me. So far we've had one clue, and the one clue made 2 pieces, and from what the pieces look like, I'm working on the witch gnome, the witchy themed gnome, and from what I gather, I think that these are going to be witch socks and feet. So here's the first clue. There's 2 little long tubes with stuffed ends that look just like witch legs to me, with some nice stripy socks. So again, that is Numpkin and Nettle by Sarah Shira. I'm making Nettle, which is the witch themed gnome, and I'm using Knit Picks palette in Clover and Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper in Darkest Hour, and sparkly orange that I don't know what it is, but it's sparkly, and who How can you go wrong with sparkly? The next thing that I've been working on is my counted cross stitch. This is the Day's End by Judy Gibson. And I have moved my hoop again. Look at this. The whole bottom of the circle there is complete. All the water is filled in. And I am starting to work on, this is like grass and stuff over here. There's a cabin here, and these are stairs that actually go up to the cabin. So I'm moving right along on this. I'll work on it on Tuesdays, and it's coming along. Again, that's Day's End by Judy Gibson, counted cross stitch. I did buy a new counted cross stitch kit because I've been itching to start a new one. And it's a Halloween themed one, so maybe next time I will have started that one because I might not be able to wait until I finish this one to make that one. So stay tuned for that. Okay, that's all that I have for you for WIPs for today. Let's move on to finished objects. First and foremost, I finished the Simple Cable Beanie by Marin Nidonka. Had 7 and 8 of the 8 that I was making for the alpaca farm. I don't have them here because I've already delivered them, so they will show up on your screen. They were the ones, she picked black and gray to appeal to some of the male folks or the people who don't like the bright colors on their hats, and I think they turned out great. We decided that we would make the patterns with thick color blocks and with thin stripes, and I like the way that both of them turned out. So again, that's the Simple Cable Beanie by Marin Nidonka, and that was with yarn from Yarn Harmony Gifts and Joyful Journey Alpacas here in Hayward, Wisconsin. The next thing that I finished is my Square Bear by Yarnspirations Studio. This little bear was made with the Lion brand little bonbon balls of yarn that was one from actually the bear group that I make the bears for. And the theme last month was candy bears, and he looks just like some little Chinese New Year suckers that match these red and gold colors perfect. And he's sparkly and he's sweet, and I think a kid will just love to have him. So this is Square Bear by Yarnspirations Design Studio, using Lion brand yarn bonbons. I don't know the colorway. The next thing that I finished was my September gnome for the Year of Gnomes in the Imagine Landscapes group. This time I made No Fun Like Gnome Fun by Sarah Shira, and I used just leftovers of Halloween colored yarn. So I made this little guy who turned out to look just like a wizard. So I gave him a wand, and he posed on my Instagram and my Facebook with a bottle of wizard oil. Well, a wizard oil bottle that my husband actually found, so that turned out pretty good. But this skein here for the hat, it was a Halloween themed self-striping yarn that was black and orange, and then black green, black purple, and it turned out that he looks just like a wizard. So this is No Fun Like Gnome Fun by Sarah Shira, and I just used some little leftovers that I had. And the last thing that I finished is my Helix mitts by Sybil R. These were made from hand spun from one of my friends, and they have not been washed or blocked. But let me put them on for you, and I'll show you how cool they are. Because I already have one pair of mitts like this, and I really love them. And I thought this would be a perfect way to use the hand spun that my friend gave me. Look at those beautiful colors. Her hand spun is so even, and I love them. I love them. I'm ready to start wearing them right now, but we have been having weather that is very unseasonal for northern Wisconsin. Yesterday was 85 degrees. So I'm not wearing any hand knits right now, except for these mitts to show you right now. So this is Helix Mitts by Sybil R, using hand spun from one of my friends. Okay, let's move on to knit-alongs. The first knit-along that I'm participating in is the Project a Month Cal group. For October 2025, we are doing works in progress and spooky knits. So pretty much if it's a WIP, a work in progress, and you finish it, then you can post it, or you can post your progress along the way. Or if you want to make something for Halloween or something, you know, just a little spooky, then share it in the group. The second knit along that I'm participating in is hosted by Zimmy's Deck on Ravelry, and it is WIP Bingo. So now's the time to get your WIPs done, okay? So WIP Bingo 2025, it runs from September 1st to October 31st, 2025. So today's October 5th. So you still have time to jump in, and there's instructions on the first post in the bingo thread, and it tells you how to get your card, and there's lots of fun stuff that you can do to get the bingos. It's a lot of fun in that group, so hop on over and join us for bingo. And the third knit along that I'm participating in is also a WIP along. It is in the Yarniacs podcast group, and it is the 2025 WIP Clean Up. And it runs from September 23rd to December 31st. So any work in progress that you had started before September 23rd will count for this WIP cleanup. And it's just a kind of a push at the end of the year to get things done that you've started and not leave lingering projects. So jump right into any of those knit-alongs. They're all a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what you are working on. Now, let's move on to more out than in. For September, my numbers were actually more brought in than sent out because of Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. I brought in 3,088 yards. Mostly was from Wisconsin Sheep and Wool. There was a couple of things that were ordered in the mail. And I sent out 360 yards. But my year-to-date totals are still in the black at 9,283 yards brought in and 13,870 yards sent out. So I'm doing my part to get my stash to where I want it to be, which is a lot smaller than it is right now. Sometimes you just can't help buying yarn though. Like I need teacher gifts, so I had to buy yarn to make pencil themed gnomes. So those will be coming up soon. And there's just certain times when you have to buy more yarn, especially when we collect patterns. We need yarn for the patterns, and I don't ever want anybody to feel like they should be ashamed of the stash that they have. You should love the stash that you have. So let's move on to my patterns. For the entire month of October, I'm offering all of my patterns for 25% off using the code CancerAware, all one word, on Ravelry. It's the only place I sell my patterns is on Ravelry. 100% of the proceeds for these sales go to the Susan G. Komen Foundation for Breast Cancer Research. You can find out more about that great foundation at the link in the show notes. But they personally helped me when I was going through my breast cancer battle, and I would like to be able to support them and help them be able to help other people. So if you buy any of those patterns with that 25% discount or without the 25% discount, all my sales for October will go to the foundation, if you don't want a pattern and would like to donate, you can do that right on their page. So again, that's all the patterns in my Ravelry store with the code Cancer Aware are 25% off. And I've been working on my mystery critter. He's coming up on April 15th. This is the 6th year I'm gonna release a mystery critter. The yarn selection, or the yarn that you need, and all of that information will come out on April 1st. And that gives you about 2 weeks to get everything together. If you fall behind, the clues are pretty little, so you should be able to catch right back up if you have to wait for yarn to come or any of that kind of stuff. So look forward to that in the spring. And I'm still working on my shawl pattern that is using Leading Man Fiber Arts Show Stealer in Bare Necessities, Krampus, and Poison Apple. Now let's move on to gardening. So for gardening today, I wanted to tell you about the seeds that I've been collecting. You know that I grew some herbs in my Mr. Stacky planter out on my deck this summer. And the 2 of the herbs that I didn't get to use were Dill and Cilantro. Because I realized that I didn't plant enough of the seeds in the sections because they grow really tall and have just a few of the leaves on them that you collect. So they did have nice seeds. This is dill seeds that I'm collecting. I've dried them. I'm going to remove them from the stems here shortly and put them in my little bags for me to plant for next year. And then here's my cilantro. I have a few of these that I've dried out, and they will also go into bags to be planted next year. Then I told you about our trip to the farm last weekend with all the apples. We got some grapes from the people there, and I've collected some grape seeds. I'm going to try to start my own grapevines. They're apparently really easy to care for. They just grow on their own. You cut them back every year to where it's just the stocky, woody, stocky section, and they just come back and produce some delicious grapes. They were really good for like jelly, wine, grape juice, stuff like that. And we also got some apples from there. So I collected a couple of kinds of apple seeds, and I didn't mark which ones were which. So I have all these little apple seeds that I got from their trees. We have our own trees also that I plan to collect some more apple seeds from. Then we'll have our own little orchard out here in our yard, because processing apples is a lot of fun. We still have about 7 gallons that we have to do something with, and I'll probably be working on that after I record today. But right now, I'm recording. So, also, my middle daughter brought me a spaghetti squash from her fiance's work. And I've collected some of those seeds that I plan to plant next fall, or next spring, so that I'll have my own spaghetti squash in the summer next year. I love spaghetti squash. My youngest daughter loves spaghetti squash, and nobody else in our house will eat it. So if we get a lot of spaghetti squash, I guess I'll be giving it to friends or finding other ways to incorporate it into meals so that other people will eat it. But anyway, that's all that I have for you today. Until next time, keep doing what you love. Bye.